Our first speaker, folks, this morning is Thomas Byrne from the Department of the Economy. Thomas is the Director of the Energy Strategy in the Department of the Economy. He's leading the Northern Ireland Executive's work to develop a new energy strategy that seeks to deliver net zero carbon and affordable energy by 2050. Thomas has been part of the Energy Group since 2018, where he was previously the Director of Sustainable Energy. Thomas has over 15 years' experience in economic development, having previously worked on issues including the economic strategy and devolution of corporation tax in Northern Ireland. Thomas is a BA Honours in Economics and an MSc in Applied Economics from Ulster University, and is a past Fulbright Scholar in 2015-2016. Thomas, over to you for the introduction, please.
Paul, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for having me here today. I want to set that wider context, I guess, to talk a little bit about our energy strategy in Northern Ireland and some of the objectives that we want to achieve through it, and also to reflect on where hydrogen sits within that overall wider picture. Before I get into the energy strategy, I guess, as a whole, we published a consultation back at the end of March, actually just under a month ago. But hydrogen has been on our radar for some time now, and indeed our Minister made very public vision statements about the opportunities she sees in the hydrogen economy in July last year and in September as well. And that was really to give a sense of ambition and vision to the industry to signal our intentions in advance of the consultation being published. So we do see hydrogen as a really important part of our economy here in Northern Ireland, and also as part of our energy mix. And that's what's reflected in the energy strategy consultation that went out at the end of March. But we haven't waited for that consultation to progress really important issues in this space. Delighted to say that we've helped to fund the extension of the GenCom project, which has brought us here today. And we also funded the work that Rory will talk about later too. So again, hopefully that gives you a sense as to the fact that we want to move forward some projects in this space. And indeed, we also have provided £5 million of funding to Northern Ireland Water to trial electrolyser technology as part of our wastewater treatment works. This is a really, really interesting project, the first of its type across the UK, where we'll install an electrolyser and produce hydrogen, but also produce oxygen, which will be then used to improve the efficiency of the wastewater treatment works. So it's really interesting projects and innovations like that we're already moving forward in advance of the strategy being in place. We can also see in transport, our public transport operator TransLink is already trialling hydrogen buses, has a contract out for an anticipated further 20 to be introduced into the system, and is also looking to put in place a hydrogen refueling station. So a lot of really interesting things happening here in Northern Ireland. And as we look to COP26 later this year in Glasgow, these are the kind of things we want to showcase Northern Ireland's potential in this space.
Purchase agreements are like, but if they are half out,
I think we have someone else.
Folks, we seem to have a bit of interference coming in the line. Can all presenters make sure they're on mute if you're not presenting, please, or maybe something else. So apologies for that to the audience, and apologies, Thomas.
No worries, thank you. So those are some of the sort of opening sentences I want to say. I'll get into the energy strategy then a little bit where we are on that for Northern Ireland. So we published at the end of March, as I mentioned, a consultation on potential policy options for a new energy strategy, and that's open until the 30th of June. So in that consultation, we're seeking views and evidence on an overall strategic framework for what the future of energy looks like in Northern Ireland, a number of illustrative scenarios in terms of how different the energy system in the future may be. And hydrogen's a part of that as well. We've got a scenario report published on our website, and you can go in and see various different scenarios of the potential of hydrogen across heat, power, transport, industry and buildings. And we've also got then a range of potential policy options that we've put forward and we're seeking feedback on. Now, there's a total of 79 questions in the consultation. It is extremely broad, it is extremely comprehensive, and it covers every aspect of the energy system. What we want to say to people is to only answer those questions that are most relevant for you. And I would say to the audience here today as well, whether you're from Northern Ireland or whether you're not, actually we really would welcome your input to help shape our strategy here in Northern Ireland. So please do read through that document and please do respond to the consultation to help us shape our energy future. So the vision that we've put forward in our energy strategy consultation is for net zero carbon and affordable energy. And I want that to be something that sticks in your head for the rest of the session today. As we talk about hydrogen, hydrogen isn't the end goal, it isn't the end result, it isn't the outcome we're trying to achieve. It's a means to an end alongside any renewable source. And this is what we're trying to achieve here in Northern Ireland. So how can hydrogen help us to achieve net zero carbon energy? How can hydrogen help us to achieve affordable energy? And this is a really important point because it's very easy to get lost in the technologies and the opportunities that are in the energy space. But we've got to remember that ultimately we're all energy consumers, our businesses are energy consumers, and we have to pay for it. So in making that transition to decarbonised energy, we have to make sure we maintain affordable energy for all. And that would again be a key question, I would say, as we talk about hydrogen, is how do we make it commercially viable? How do we make sure that it isn't a more expensive energy source than some of the current fossil fuel sources? And what are the type of market-based approaches we need to take to get it to be commercially viable, and ultimately to make sure that if we are to deploy it in various different uses in our energy system, that we maintain affordable energy. So here in Northern Ireland, there's going to be an awful lot of challenges, I guess, in meeting our vision there, but there's a lot of opportunity, and that's what we see this as. I suppose the first thing I'd like to say is we've had real success in renewable electricity in Northern Ireland. Back in 2005, around 3% of our electricity came from renewable sources. That's now almost 50%. That is a huge change in just over 15 years period. And it shows the success we can have when we put sort of strong policy and support in place to bring forward investment in the sector. And it shows we can deliver on our decarbonisation targets. And it also presents a real opportunity. Paul mentioned green hydrogen in his introductory remarks, and the sheer volume of renewables that we have here in Northern Ireland and the wind resource that we have can really drive that green hydrogen space. And indeed, we're not only leaders in renewable electricity, we're leaders in dispatch down and curtailment. There's actually around 20% of the renewable electricity we generate can't currently get onto the system in Northern Ireland. So the opportunity is huge for to use that curtailed wind at present for something like hydrogen production for electrolysis, and then to help to decarbonise other parts of our energy system as well. And here in Northern Ireland, we have a number of unique strengths. So I suppose, first of all, to start with our size, we are small, we can be flexible, we know each other, and we can actually put in place the types of measures and policies that are needed in quite a coherent kind of way. We also have world-leading wind resources, which of course play as part of the success I've just mentioned around renewable electricity. And also one thing which has shown our technical achievements is to get that 50% onto the system. We've had to develop our electricity network to a point where it can accommodate, at present, up to 70% renewables at any one time. Now that's a fantastic technical achievement, and it's world leading in terms of for a closed electricity system to be able to accommodate that much renewables at one point. And it shows the sort of engineering solutions we can put in place in Northern Ireland when we need to. We've also got a large rural agriculture base, and as we talk about other energy solutions such as biogas, for example, that can play a key role in that. We have a modern gas network. I think that's really important when we talk about the potential applications for hydrogen, for heating, that our gas network in Northern Ireland, because it is modern, is almost hydrogen ready, and will need very minimal adjustments to accommodate something like that. And we also here in Northern Ireland have publicly owned assets that we can use to drive new innovations such as hydrogen. I mentioned Northern Ireland Water. The fact is, because we have a utility provider in water, we can use them to trial and demonstrate new projects such as electrolyzers. Because our transport operator, TransLink, is publicly owned, we can use that to drive low emission vehicles, hydrogen buses, battery vehicles, and things like that. And also, for example, our social housing stock that we have here, we can use then to upgrade heating sources and improve energy efficiency. So part of our opportunity for Northern Ireland, we've really put the economy actually at the centre of that. So I've talked about energy decarbonisation, I've talked about affordability of energy. Actually, the economy is a key part of what we want to do, and we see the hydrogen economy being a really important part of that. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. We've got over £1 billion of turnover and over 5,000 jobs in our low carbon economy at the moment, but we really want to expand that and really want to grow that. And as a result of the COVID pandemic, we published an economic recovery plan back in February this year, and the green economy was one of the 4 key pillars in it, and the hydrogen economy sat within that. And I'm also really excited because we have such a strong advanced manufacturing, materials and engineering base here in Northern Ireland that we can use as our basis for developing those technologies and the solutions we need for hydrogen in Northern Ireland. And then finally, the opportunity to change our relationship with consumers and change it so as energy isn't just seen as a cost for them, but also as a direct opportunity for consumers to participate in addressing climate change. So For our energy strategy, we have themed it around 5 key principles. The first of those is placing you at the heart of our energy future, and that's about you, consumers, people, citizens, businesses. You're energy users, and we want to place you at the centre of all our energy policies in the future. Second principle is around growing a green economy, which I briefly talked around there, and about providing the economic opportunities from energy decarbonisation for our economy. Third is around doing more with less and the focus on energy efficiency and reducing our energy consumption. Fourth is about replacing fossil fuels with indigenous renewables, and that again plays to our strengths here and our natural resources we have on wind and the opportunities that provides. And again, finally, about creating a flexible and integrated energy system. I'm going to talk about each of those very briefly. I'll scan through a few just in the interest of time, but within the consultation, there's a lot of detail in each of those areas, and I would encourage all to go and have a look through that. So I suppose on the first one about placing you at the heart of our energy future, I'm not going to go into that in too much detail in the context of hydrogen, but what I would say is, as we think about people, as we think about the public's acceptance of hydrogen for gas particularly, but also, for example, around vehicles, is what are the key things we'll need to change people's mindsets around hydrogen? And obviously hydrogen safety is a really important part of that. How will people feel about having hydrogen in their gas pipes and in their buses? Are there things we need to do to get people safe and secure with the idea that we're going to do that? So we have a range of solutions, we have a range of options we put forward in consultation around that. Growing a green economy, we've identified a number of priority areas around, for example, energy efficiency, renewable energy, which of course in our poll came forward as one of the big short-term opportunity areas, and also the circular economy. But we've specifically identified the hydrogen economy within that. And we've kind of split that into 3 areas in our thinking of hydrogen. And one, around the production of hydrogen. I think particularly the focus of green hydrogen here in Northern Ireland, given our renewable electricity strengths. Secondly, around creating the demand for hydrogen, and that's the use for hydrogen in industry, hydrogen in transport, hydrogen in heating, and also hydrogen, for example, for power generation. And I think thirdly, then the opportunities for supply chains, and that really harks down to that advanced engineering base that I talked about, and how we make sure they're at the centre of the hydrogen economy in Northern Ireland. And we realise that those kind of solutions and taking advantage of those opportunities have to be based around, firstly, innovation, and we want to make sure we invest in green innovation, and secondly, around skills and making sure we have the necessary people and skills here in Northern Ireland to take advantage of those. Do more with less is one of our principles. I won't go into too much detail on that, but what I will say is energy efficiency is a huge part of what we see the next number of years in Northern Ireland being. I would almost say the polls that came up at the start was probably missing one thing for me, which was energy efficiency, and that's about all the homes and buildings that we live in, about making them more efficient, about making them warmer, about improving people's health outcomes, reducing their bills, and just generally making their homes a more comfortable place to be in. And that's something we really want to focus on here in Northern Ireland over the next number of years. So one of our key principles is around replacing fossil fuels with indigenous renewables, and I think this is a really important one for hydrogen. So we put in place, or we proposed a new target of at least 70% of our electricity to come from renewables by 2030. And again, that will create a lot of opportunities for green hydrogen production through that. We also consider the decarbonisation of heat and transport, and particularly specifically the role that hydrogen can play on both of those. And we do see real opportunities there, and that's the point of this consultation, is to get your input to help to shape what our specific policies are and how we take advantage of some of those opportunities and move them forward. And I think finally, the final principle I want to talk around is about creating a flexible and integrated energy system. We want our energy system to be about flexibility, to be about smartness, to be about data. And again, hydrogen can play a key role there. I mean, Paul mentioned in the introduction around hydrogen as a storage vector and the role that hydrogen can have in helping to integrate more renewables into the system. So there's a lot of really interesting opportunities here. And again, these are the kind of things that we want to explore through the development of a new energy strategy. So in terms of our timeline for this new strategy for Northern Ireland, we're out of consultation at the moment. That'll run until the end of June. From that point on, then we'll use those consultations to inform our future policy development and then have a new energy strategy in place by the end of this year. However, that's actually just the start of the journey. The fact is we won't have all the answers for the future of energy by the end of this year, and we will be regularly monitoring and updating that strategy to be flexible and to make sure that we respond to the new opportunities that come forward and the new policies that we need to put in place to take advantage of some of the opportunities that there are out there. So I guess that's going to be done for an introduction. I hope that's been useful and helpful to set, I guess, the bigger, broader picture of where we are in Northern Ireland and what we're trying to achieve in energy. and maybe set the frame for some of those discussions later on today about the specific role that hydrogen can play. One thing I would say is we have a stakeholder mailing list, energystrategy@economyni.gov.uk, where you can keep up to date with all the developments of our energy strategy and all the work that we take forward through that. So please do respond to the consultation, and please do sign up to that mailing list if you're interested in keeping in touch in the future. So thank you very much.
Thomas, thank you very much for a good introduction and how Northern Ireland is setting out a stall to move forward in the decarbonisation journey. Quick question for you, Thomas. In the past, transport and industry was all about collecting oil, delivering oil, and using oil. Now, based on your strategy, it's all about collecting wind, delivering wind, and using wind with the enabler as hydrogen. How does that sit with your strategy, and how does that vision then move forward?
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I mean, I think what we know from decarbonising energy is there isn't any one solution that's going to decarbonise the entire of energy. And when we talk about energy, we're talking about heat, power, transport, industry, and all our buildings. But we do see obviously renewables, and in particular wind, playing a major role in that. I mean, I think it's around about 85% of the renewable we generate at the moment comes from wind, and that is. It's one thing when I go out to the seaside here in Northern Ireland, I curse the amount of wind we have, but it's fantastic for renewable generation. So wind is going to play a really important part of that. And as I mentioned, we've got a target in there around 70% renewables, but it's also other solutions. For example, obviously using that wind to produce hydrogen, the opportunities that can provide to decarbonise heat and transport as well, and industry, and also other things as well. For example, around biogas, and even things like biofuels and the role they can play as a transition fuel. So we're not closing the doors on any potential low carbon solutions at the moment, but we know that wind and we know renewables will play a really important role.
One final question for you, Thomas, before we let you go, and then we'll come to the final question at the end. Is hydrogen is now a globally traded commodity. It is remaking and rewriting the map of geopolitics. It's overcoming our reliance on fossil fuel exports and imports, and it's improving our energy import sector. Can you see that as being a growth opportunity for Northern Ireland if we get our mix right?
Paul, absolutely. There's two things I'm really excited about. And this one is about the fact that we can reduce our reliance on importing fossil fuels and actually create indigenous energy through our wind and through them producing hydrogen and electricity off the back of that. But also the export opportunities that come from this. And I think that's what's really generated a lot of the excitement for us here in Northern Ireland. Is not just the opportunities it provides for decarbonisation, but the economic export opportunities, the opportunities to export not just hydrogen we can produce, but also, for example, hydrogen buses, and also the technologies that we want to be able to be at the forefront of producing and manufacturing here in Northern Ireland in certain areas. So, there's a lot of really exciting stuff happening across not just the UK and Ireland, but also Europe. There's billions and billions of pounds and euros going into this, and we want Northern Ireland to be able to take advantage of some of those opportunities.
Thomas, many thanks. Thank you for your input, and thanks for the introduction, because now to set the audience on their feet, you've set the stall out. All the other speakers now have to match that level and see where we're going, and then define that as we move along. Don't forget, folks, as Thomas as was said there, that stakeholder engagement is open. Please engage, please give us your thoughts. And that's for the global audience that we have online today, not just for the Northern Ireland audience. We want to learn where the global best practice is and build on that. Thomas, thank you very much indeed.